And good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Let's Go Crunch podcast, part of the Land Media Group. I am Ethan Greenberg alongside. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Let's Go. And something is going on in the background, and I need to turn it off because it is echoing over here. And I see what it is. Okay, let me try talking again. Test one. Okay, now we're good. I had something off in the background I didn't realize was on, and it's all of a sudden I had the YouTube channel up on another screen, and it just automatically started playing. So what a banner start to the game or the show. Well, all right, let me try this again. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Let's Go Crunch podcast. I'm Ethan Greenberg. Alongside of me is Andrew Hagenbaum, my co-host, and we are a part of the Land Media Group. Behind the scenes, thank you to Mike Wilkes, the man in the box. Speaking of the men in the box, we're going to have a discussion about some of the melee that occurred in the fourth quarter of last night's game. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Mike from across the pond. Yes, what a win by the Crunch in the home opener. So just to open up here a little bit, the Crunch a winner over the Chicago Mustangs in the home opener, 10-1. They moved to 3-0 on the season. And despite the lopsided win, 10-1, it was the closest margin of victory the Crunch have had. I mean, so Drew, I guess I was at home. I was watching on the YouTube stream, listening to the fine voices, the fine broadcasts, the play-by-play of Kevin Arnold. And there he is. There is Kevin Arnold. So glad to have him as our broadcaster. And he was alongside him is a legend in Cleveland, Mark Munch Bishop. You, of course, though, were field side. You were on the sidelines checking out all the action. Talk to us about it. How are you? First of all, how are you doing this evening? And talk to us about the game.
So first and foremost, I'm doing great. I'm feeling a lot better than I was last week. So thumbs up to that. We're doing well. And I mean, it was a great experience. You know, I want to shout out to Ryan Ruiz and everyone in the Crunch organization for allowing me and Mike to go there, have media passes, and be on the sidelines, and let us do our thing, taking photos and videos. So I greatly appreciate that. I know Mike greatly appreciates it. We thanked Ryan about 1,000 times the other night for so we definitely appreciate him allowing us to do this for the full season. It means a lot to us, and it was just awesome to be not in the stands but on the field side and just witnessing everything up close. You really see how fast everything is when you're right up against the action. It's kind of hard taking photos and videos when you're worried about a ball coming to smack you in the face, because there's no netting now. So you got to be wary as a photographer and kind of keep an eye out for that ball, because one look down, that ball is right there and you don't even know. So
right, you got to keep your head on a swivel, as
sure.
the late great John Madden used to say. Oh, boom! You got to keep your head on a swivel. I'm not quite Frank Caliendo. I can't do the great John Madden such as that. But it was a heck of a night. A way to return to the Wolstein Center. They hosted last year's MLIS playoffs. They reached the championship game. It was a fantastic crowd at those games. And last night, you had a really, really good crowd on hand. As far as we know, unofficially, I believe at least 2,400. It looked great on TV. The crowd was into it. In fact, it was commented on during the broadcast, and we just figured this out. Every time the Chicago goalkeeper would touch the ball, there were loud boos. We have just come to find out and learn, who our ticket winner from last week, Eric McCafferty, is famous. He's out there booing the guys. It's getting mentioned all over the broadcast. He made quite an impression. So glad that he was our winner and was able to attend the game last night. That is just fantastic. And, we saw some great returns of things there. In fact, there was an old friend who returned, a mascot someone might remember. Look at it. Is that Kickster? Is that Kickster?
That's Kickster. He's back.
That is great. No, so it was really great. The crowd, the atmosphere, talk to me about that from the start to finish, Drew. Like, what were some of the highlights of the evening?
Yeah, I mean, the crowd was electric. I mean, for the first game back in the Wilson Center since the regular season of 2005, like, this was amazing. Like, it felt like I was a kid back in that time period when I was going to Crunch games at the old Convocation Center, obviously with the different name. And the big crowds back then. Now it's a big crowd once again here at the Wilson Center, and they were all into it, and it was awesome. You saw signs everywhere. They had the blue cards going all over the place whenever there's a blue card. I mean, everyone was into it. I mean, just walking around, just looking at the crowd, even just taking a moment to soak it in. I mean, it was fantastic. And, it's only on up from here. 2,400 is a lot for the first game, and it could only just continue to rise. And, I think it was like almost 4K watching it, the other day on stream because I looked at the YouTube video and there's already almost 4,000 some views on there. So, all in all, almost 6K people watched that game last night, and it was amazing.
Yeah, it really was. And there is a question here that we want to get to, and we are going to get to it in just a moment here. There's a question about the fourth quarter melee. Why was Mikey Derizic for the crunch thrown out of the game for grabbing someone's hair? We're going to get to that in a minute. Keep a pin in that one. Thank you for the question. Thank you for everyone who is commenting and watching here this evening. I mean, so much going on last night, the blue cards that they handed out. And I think it's only going to build from here. The Soccerplex held 800, 900 people crammed in there.
Yeah.
And you had an opportunity. I mean, look at the crowd. You're talking about filling up the lower bowl. And this is and there's our friend. There's Carolyn Budd. We talked about her with Ryan previously. So glad to see her out at the game. Just a fantastic crowd on hand at the Convocation Center. And you don't get that around the league. You just at other places and are more like the Soccerplex. They're small venues, which is probably it fits with kind of the league and the rosters, the financial situations. It really works out. But Cleveland is so lucky to have this. And in fact, as again, oh, look at the DJ. We got the DJ there. Is he wearing 69? Should he change that to 67 for this day and age?
I think so. Like you got to fit with the times now.
You absolutely do. And I mean, just to kind of compare, Mike is across in the UK, and yesterday he mentioned that was the first time he watched a crunch game. And it was kind of funny. The stream crashed at one point, and then he ended up on another game. And as he says, it looked like it was playing in a small building with no one there. And obviously when you can't see the crowd because they're probably all on one side of the building and you really can't tell, but it's just, it's just one of those things. And so, Mike, to answer your question, he follows up. No other teams even have crowds. They do have crowds. It's just you can't see them because of where the cameras can be. And again, perfectly, Mike, thank you for putting up clevelandcrunch.com/tickets. Be sure to get your tickets. The next home match will be in 2 weeks. It will be on the 24th. And we're going to get to next week's matchup in a moment. So let's talk about the game just a little bit. I just pulled some stats here. Admir Suljovic, 2 goals, 2 assists, 4 points. We even got some video. He had a penalty shootout. If you want to take a look at that, and I don't know, Drew, if you want to kind of walk us through it a little bit here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's going to take a minute to get him going, but obviously, when you're in this moment, you're kind of just figuring out where you want to go, where you want to hit it. Obviously, you're thinking about what the goalkeeper is going to do. Is he going to come out early? Is he going to stay back a little bit? So there's a lot on Suljovic's mind in these moments because you got so much to think about.
Right.
And here we go. So he rolls it, and I like what he does here is that he just does a quick roll, and he allows the keeper to make the mistake. He allows the keeper to make the first move, and you just see him buried to the far left, away from the keeper because maybe keeper was thinking something like, oh, he's going to go towards the right. Maybe he made a slight gesture to the right. And as soon as you make that gesture, boom, that's where you take the hit. And great job there from Suljovic to actually, stay patient, slowly roll the ball in front of you and just, wait for the goalkeeper. And this is what they tell you: wait for the goalkeeper to make the mistake. Wait for
Yeah,
him to make that first move, and he did, and he buried it.
right. And he kind of he took a little bit of a hezzy move.
Yeah,
He did a little bit of a Darius Garland hezzy move there, and made the goalkeeper commit. And then he said,
yeah, right there.
that little hitch in his step, and it was open and closed. And then he did do the 6-7. So
Yep,
he did the 6-7. So that is right there. Aiden Bozak, he comes up with a goal, 2 assists, 3 points. Ryan Minnick, 2 goals in the game. And as mentioned, it was a physical matchup.
Yes.
And we had some fireworks come in the fourth quarter on a breakaway. Mikey Derazic on the breakaway for the Crunch there was a tackle and the whistle was blown. And I believe that they gave a blue card or a red card on the foul call itself, Drew.
They gave a blue card on the foul call.
Okay. So for those who don't know, so the blue card, you're not ejected from the game, but you go to the box. Correct.
You go to the box for, I believe it's 2 minutes. Yellow card, it's 5.
Okay. So you go to the box for 2 minutes, and the Crunch would have a man advantage at that point.
Yes.
And it went crazy after that. We saw, I mean, how much of a delay was there? There was quite a bit of a delay.
Oh, man. It was probably, I would say, almost 3 to 5 minutes of a delay. Like
it was a while. It seemed like a while. It did. And it went over, and it spilled over into the bench area with both teams and on TV. And I caught it. The coach for Chicago, he got ejected because he did a throat slash motion to the official. It was crazy. It was nuts. I'm like, what in the world is going on here? But so never a dull moment. Never a dull moment. And here we go. That's an interesting one. I wish that proper, as we look at the Premier League, all of us Tottenham fans here would have a blue card. I'd blue card Thomas Frank. Can he get a blue card? Can he try and do that to an official? Maybe he can get kicked out. But you had an interesting vantage point on this play. And I didn't even notice this because I was watching it, but not really watching it so carefully. But you caught something when you're watching it. Drew, do you mind kind of giving us your breakdown and thoughts on it? Because it's pretty important and interesting to discuss.
Yeah, absolutely. So I put it in slow-mo for everyone here so we can obviously grasp what happened. So obviously you have the breakaway here from Derazic, and there's about 11 minutes and 5 seconds left. Now they're going to zoom in right here. As you can see, there's a little bit of hand fighting between both of the guys. And right about here, you see the tackle being made. Now, again, there's hands up, hands are fighting. It's a good hand fight. Refs usually tend to let this go. If you notice me, I'm right there in the pink with my phone out, trying to soak it in, take a video, take photos of it. And right here, you can see a touch of the ball. And then you see the ball has been touched. You see it move away. Now, there's still no contact afterwards on Derazic until right there. Right. And for me personally, and being right there in the front of it, I did not see too much into it, to be honest with you. I saw equal hand fighting, and I saw a good clean tackle. Now, obviously, the afterwards where you can see he's kind of on his hands and knees, and you see Darius just kind of fly over him. I see where you kind of get angry at that because, that's pretty dangerous because, a hand could come down wrong and you could hurt, shatter a wrist doing something like that and whatnot. So I get Darius's point of, being pretty pissed off because in that moment I'd be pretty pissed off too if I was in Darius's shoes. But as Mike says, to me, in my opinion, I think this is a pretty clean tackle all together. Now I can see why the refs would blow the whistle because they're pretty well behind. Obviously, you can't see the ref in the photo, but at this point in time, the ref is probably right around midfield. So he's pretty decently behind the play, and this game is very fast-paced, especially on the breakaway. It's pretty easy to see a guy go down like this and just immediately blow the whistle.
Right. If you're shielded from behind, you're not going to be able to tell that the foot hits the ball first, you're just going to see it as, hey, this guy came in from the side, from behind. He's chasing him down, and it's where he is, the vantage point.
It's a bang bang play.
Where's the sky judge?
Yeah, where's VAR?
Yeah, we're going to need VAR, but ultimately, I guess it was a very, very physical.
Oh yeah,
it was a very physical matchup, and as I mentioned, this crunch win, it was 10-1, but
yeah,
it was their closest game so far, amazingly enough, and the physicality of Chicago, really, that was some tough play. I mean, I feel that Cleveland had the better team, certainly, but Chicago did not back down. They were feisty, to say the least. I've certainly seen Cleveland just this season really be able to score at will. How good was Mario Musa and Liam McIntosh in the second half in net? They were making some phenomenal saves. And to that end, the Chicago goalkeeper was also, I mean, he was facing a barrage, and he did a great job as well.
Yeah, I mean, credit to obviously Musa and McIntosh, because those guys really, really balled out. I mean, those guys, two of the best in the league by far, and there's both of them right there. I mean, Musa had a phenomenal game, multiple fantastic saves. I mean, him and McIntosh both had incredible penalty saves as well. Both of these guys are just a really good 1-2 tandem, and it's hard to score. I mean, one goal, and I think Chicago had 3 penalty shots, 2 or 3 penalty shots, and they didn't score a single one. I mean, their goal came from open play, and both of these guys did a phenomenal job of making incredible save after save after save. And like you said, on the other side, Chicago's goalkeeper made incredible save after save too, because only letting 10 in on a team that, like you said, could score at will is because this game, the way it went, it was super physical. We knew this game coming in was going to be incredibly physical. It was going to be a very difficult game, but you know what? You have to give credit where it's due to the Chicago goalkeeper for allowing only 10 when this could have easily been a lot more, because again, we also had a penalty shot saved as well.
Yes.
So this could have easily been another 15 goal performance plus for the Crunch, and that goalkeeper made sure that wasn't going to be the case. He made sure it stayed pretty close.
Yeah, Jose Resendez. Want to get. I don't know that I'm pronouncing the name exactly correct for Chicago. 10 goals against, 21 shots against, 13 saves. I mean, he was facing again a barrage, and Musa again, fantastic goalkeeper.
Absolutely.
And McIntosh is absolutely again getting better. Taking a look here just at the goalie stats. McIntosh, he did only face 3 shots against, 3 saves. For Musa, gave up 1 goal, 11 shots against, and 10 saves. But just a fantastic game overall. Were there any players that you saw? I mean, there's all the usual characters.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that you saw there? I mean, I believe it was Bozak with a beauty with the right foot, just crushed it home. And that was one of the more impressive and powerful shots we saw. A lot of people contributed, and afterwards, I believe you got to talk to Omar Najjar.
I did. So it was actually Bozak who was named MVP of the game.
Okay.
So they announced Bozak as MVP, and not only just because I interviewed Omar, I definitely think he was one of the better guys on the field last night, because he made multiple defensive saves. I mean, a couple guys took some shots and he put his body out in front, was blocking shots. He laid himself out last night, and he was definitely, for me, if Bozak wasn't the MVP, he definitely was, because he also contributed a goal too. He also buried one into the back of the net. So I think for me, beside Bozak, I think Omar Najjar was probably the best player on the field by just risking his body and putting his body on the line and saving multiple shots.
Yeah, I think, again, you talked about the defense and making those saves and putting yourself out there, putting your body on the line, where Musa might have gotten a bit out of position. And so Chicago had multiple opportunities with shots, and the defense was it was just beautiful. They were up to the task. and did a great job of keeping the ball out of the net while Mario Musa was a little bit out of position. So kudos to them. Again, just all in all, a phenomenal team effort there for the Crunch, and a great win.
It's a phenomenal win. I mean, 10-1, you played probably one of the most physical opponents you're going to play this season. And to score 10 past them is really, really good. And it shows how good this Crunch team is. And it shows that this Crunch team is very resilient. They want to win this whole thing. And I know they got other physical matchups coming up, because obviously we're going to talk about next. Pittsburgh's is going to be definitely a pretty physical matchup. Toronto's upcoming soon is going to be a pretty physical matchup. Those are always Toronto is always a good game. So, again, we'll see it later on in the Omar interview, what we talked about. But this team is definitely prepared for anything that's going to be thrown at them, because it looked like they were so ready for the physicality last night. And when Chicago got physical, the Crunch gave it right back.
They did not back down from that. And just, a question here from Mike in the UK. The prior scores, the Crunch defeated Lansing, Red Cedar. They defeated them 17-6, and then followed that up with a win over Fort Wayne 18-2, and this one 10-1. Yeah, Drew. So what did Omar Najjar have to say after the game?
Yeah. So first and foremost, I quickly asked him, what was like for the team to be back after 20 years into the Wolseley Center and see a pretty big crowd as well. And, he discussed that it was great. The crowd is the reason why you play the game like this, the fans, because, they're crucial. They're everything. They make or break a game. So the more people you have, the better. And the last thing I asked him was the physicality of the game. The game was very physical. How do you prepare for a team like Chicago, where it's going to be, and it's going to be incredibly physical? And he came out and he stated that they practice this in training on Tuesdays and Thursdays. They sometimes fight with each other on the practice facility.
Right.
So yeah, they get physical with each other, and he goes, it helps you prepare for these physical matchups, because you do it to each other in training, and then you go out there and you do it to the team that does it to you. So he goes, it's just all in the training.
Okay, that is fantastic. Yeah.
All right. This is Andrew from the Let's Go Crunch podcast here with Omar Najjar. Omar, first and foremost, 20 years later, back at the Wolseley Center, man, how does it feel for you guys and the team to be back here?
Oh, it's such a surreal feeling. Just walking out of the tunnel, seeing all the fans so loud, so supportive. It's the reason why you play. Yeah. So absolutely love it.
Awesome. And lastly, before we get you out of here, 10-1, the final score. I know this is probably the most physical game you guys had so far this season. Chicago is always a very physical team. What preparations do you guys make to come out here and play, and dominate a team that's very, very physical and gives you such a rough time?
Honestly, I think it's the way that we train, just very hard. We get after each other a lot at training. You'll see some fighting and some bickering a little bit, but that's how you grow. It just builds a lot of togetherness, and we're so bought in to Coach Antonio's system and everything like that. So when we go out here, it's kind of just you work your butt off, and then hopefully the results come from there.
Awesome, man. Appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And it sounds like from when we had Coach Manfoot on, it's very fitting. Very, very fitting the types of things he's talking about there, and how the practices are to be prepared for the games. So an excellent win for the Crunch. So what is up next, Drew? A trip a trip though.
Yeah. It's somewhere. It's some place that we kind of hate, I believe.
Yeah, it is. Folks, next up for the Crunch, coming up next weekend will be a trip to Pittsburgh to take on Bridge City FC. This is their inaugural season in the MLIS, and we won't post that comment there. But the sentiment is felt, Mike. We do feel that is exactly what we are thinking. So Bridge City FC, they had a tough matchup yesterday or this weekend. They fell to Toronto 7-4, and that's a really tough matchup. I mean, as we talked about, Toronto, if you take a look at the standings, Toronto right now, just because the way things work, I know people might be going, well, how are they playing so many games and the other teams haven't? Toronto has already played 6 games. They are 6-0. They've got 55 goals for, 27 against, a plus 28 differential. They've only played 2 home games, 4 on the road. But for Pittsburgh to hang in there and only lose 7-4 is pretty impressive. And Pittsburgh is off to a decent start as well. 2-1 overall. 19 goals for, 17 goals against. So like you said, Drew, one would surmise there's going to be some physicality.
Yeah, absolutely. Because again, Toronto's, besides us, are probably going to be up there at the top of the league because they're always, again, a very difficult opponent. And like you said, for Pittsburgh to hang in there and lose by just a few goals, it shows that there's going to be a level of physicality going into Pittsburgh on Saturday because, that's how you win in leagues like this. You got to be physical. You got to be able to get down, get dirty, play rough, and that's how you slow down big teams. And you can see Pittsburgh almost did it. They almost took down Toronto. They played rough. They played physical. And that's something, like, once again, you got to be prepared for.
Right. They're going to probably look to, I guess, muck it up a little bit against the Crunch next weekend. And with the Crunch playing in the Wolstein Center, that gives them it's a different feel and it's a different way they have to play from playing in the Sportsplex and other arenas where they're going to go and play their games because of the size of the playing field, the fact that they don't have to worry about the ball hitting the ceiling, the netting on the ceiling. They don't have that going on. It takes skill. And just to kind of talk to people who don't usually watch soccer or aren't familiar with indoor soccer and think about the outdoor game that we see so often and we talk about so often and say, oh, this is boring. My son sat next to me last night and we were watching the game, and he remarked and commented about just how much more interesting this was to watch than traditional soccer or football and such. And I tried to explain, I said, all these guys that are playing out here, I mean, not all of them can play outdoors, but not all outdoor players, as we discussed previously, can play indoors. It's a different skill set, but it's a great thing to have as an alternative for fans. You can love the indoor game and not love the outdoor game and vice versa, but you can appreciate it. It does take skills.
Yeah, it does, because again, you're playing on a smaller field than you would on an outdoor field. It's a lot smaller, but you know what? It's a lot faster pace. You need to be able to hold possession very well. You need to be able to just have smaller touches. There's so much into it that, on an outdoor setting, it's a lot different. And, over the head height restriction, that's actually a pretty solid question.
I don't think that. Well, I wouldn't think that there's a restriction. It's just
there's
simply,
definitely a restriction.
It's kind of like in baseball, Tampa Bay, Tropicana Field. If it hits, there's ground rules. If it hits the ceiling, if it hits the catwalk, and so in the smaller sports complex, that where the Crunch had been playing and other teams are playing, if the ceiling height is low, if it hits that, it's gonna be a dead ball. Whereas first of all, it's generally not going to reach that high in a place like the Convocation Center. There's a lot more clearance there. And so you're not going to face that type of thing. But again, that is a situation or something that you can use to your advantage as the home team.
Well, and also too, at the Wolstein Center, not only do you have almost no way of hitting the roof or the ceiling or anything, but what's more difficult is the walls and the sides are a lot smaller. So unlike the other places you're going to play at where there's glass and it's going to bounce off the walls a lot weirder, it's going to be a lot more glass. It's not going to bounce out compared to the Wolstein Center where you have a very, very short wall and there's no glass. So again, that also takes away too, because you can hit the ball as high as you want, but you got to be careful when you go towards the sidelines because there's not much or nothing there.
Right. And Mike, the man in the box behind the scenes, so he got hit twice. Drew, what happened? I know you were playing ball boy as well, but what happened here?
So before the game even started, we were probably at like 5 o'clock, 2 hours before kickoff, and the teams are just kind of messing around, training, warming up. And Mike are trying to take photos, and Mike takes a shot to the stomach. And then I think that happened again later on where he wasn't paying attention. He took another slight hit.
Dude, you got to keep your head on a swivel. Head on a swivel, Mike.
That's why there's times you see me put my phone down, because it's like, all right, once the ball comes my way, phone down. I gotta watch because I'm not trying to get hit.
Right. That is crazy. That is absolutely crazy. But it sounds like, again, an amazing night.
It was.
For everybody involved. The Crunch with a big win. Again, next up is Pittsburgh. So, Drew, unless you had anything else to add, I think we've about covered it all here.
Yeah, again, just want to thank Ryan Ruiz and the rest of the organization for allowing me and Mike to go to all the home games and, film and take photos. We greatly appreciate that. It means a lot to us, especially not to just help grow the brand of the Crunch, but just growing the game, period. It's something I've always been passionate about. So I appreciate them for allowing us to do it.
Absolutely. That fantastic. Again, thank you to the Cleveland Crunch. Thank you to Ryan Ruiz. Thank you to Luciano Rashido. Thank you to everybody involved there over at the Cleveland Crunch. Thank you also to the folks, Mike, the Land Media Group. Thank you, everybody, for allowing us to bring this program to you, the viewers. Again, really want to thank everybody who tuned in and commented tonight. Mike, glad you enjoyed the Crunch game on YouTube, and you really got a treat. It was, certainly to be able to watch the game in Cleveland versus some of the other places. It's a vastly different atmosphere. So enjoy those ones. And let's hope that the Crunch is able to continue building that up, and that they are able to continue with the attendance and moving forward, make things bigger and better. Lots of great things coming up. The Crunch will be back in action at the Wolstein Center in 2 weeks on Saturday, the 24th. Coming up next Saturday, the 17th, they will visit Pittsburgh to take on Bridge City FC. Once again, then, want to thank our man behind the scenes, Mike Wilkes, and want to thank everybody at the Land Media Group. And for Andrew Hagenbaugh, I am Ethan Greenberg, and you have been tuned in to the Let's Go Crunch podcast, part of the Land Media Group.